gotta say, I'm suddenly regretting this. I was looking forward to this all day, but now I didn't expect it to be so profoundly dark.
You're scared?
Is this the one right here?
This is the railroad crossroads.
Do you know Robert Johnson?
Yeah.
One of the great blues musicians of all time. He's influenced a ton of people, Eric Clapton, Led Zeppelin. And he's also the center of this myth. So here's the story. 1920s, Robert Johnson was a kid in Mississippi. Wants to play the blues, hang around blues guys, but he sucks. Other blues guys would laugh at him. So he goes away. Disappears one day. Shortly after comes back. And he's not just good now, he's incredible. I mean, he's making this music that's not just technically good, but it's just got a feeling to it that's so different.
And are the other musicians like amazing?
They were like, what happened? And supposedly what he says to them is, well,
he said, if you want to learn how to play anything you want to play and not learn how to make songs yourself, said you take your guitar and you go where a road crosses that way.
Crossroads.
Where a crossroad is. And said get there, be sure to get there just a little before 12 o'clock that night so you'll know you'll be there. And said you have your guitar and be playing a piece, sitting there by yourself. Say you have to go by yourself. And be sitting there playing a piece and say a big black man will walk up there and take your guitar and he'll tune it. And then he'll play a piece and hand it back to you. Said that's the way I learned how to play anything I want. And he could. Now he told that, didn't he?
was he known at that point?
No, he was a nobody. He was a nobody.
But when he heard this record,
John Hammond thought, wow, this is the best of the backwood blues guys I've ever heard.
That sort of haunting voice.
You better come on
he knew right away
in my kitchen.
this was the guy.
I'm going to pluck him from obscurity, and I'm going to put him in Carnegie Hall.
And so he sent word down to Mississippi to try to get Robert Johnson and bring him up.
Word came back?
That Robert Johnson had died
Just died.
very, very recently. He was messing around with a woman, and the woman's husband gave him a bottle of poisoned whiskey.
And that was it.
Wow. Well, there's a blues singer's death.
Robert Johnson was married in 1929, but he was quite young. When he married, he made one of the important decisions in his life, which was to live a conventional life. Up until then, he'd been a kind of a casual party musician, and his wife, Virginia, became pregnant. She decided to go back to her family to have the child. Robert went off playing, and when he went to visit her, he found that she'd died in childbirth. And he was faced with this incredible community condemnation of what you'd done to Virginia, because he was in Virginia's childhood community at the time. And they looked upon him as an itinerant, evil musician who was singing the devil's songs and who killed Virginia. And he gradually became that person that the community saw him as.
And that's where our story might have ended.
Now, let's not get into that. That's not something I've confirmed satisfactorily. I have doubts about the things I said years ago. Well, okay, this is one. In New Orleans, I was told about a man named Robert Johnson, who was a blues musician. Have you seen the death certificate?
Have you seen a reprint of the back side of it? He had come from Tunica County to play banjo at a country dance. Play banjo.
But Johnson played the guitar. And to make matters more confusing, the death certificate said that this Robert Johnson died of syphilis, not whiskey poisoning.
This has got to be a different guy.
Mac wasn't entirely convinced until he met this guy who had played with Robert Johnson back in the day.
He and Robert Johnson jammed together a little bit.
When Mac brought up Johnson and the fact that he died in 1938, this guy gave him a funny look and said, "No, I saw him at a rodeo."
In 39, I believe it was April or so in 39.
A few years later, the same thing happened with another guy Mac was talking to. He said that he'd seen Johnson in Memphis.
In April 1941.
And not too long after that, it happened again.
So it's things like that that give you hints.
That you might be wrong. And if you're wrong about whether he died or not.
How do you know any of these other things that I believed?
Until I get sad.